The following program, Live and Learn, is made possible by Aging Partners. Find out more on their website at agingpartners@lincoln.ne.gov.
Hi, I'm Lita Powell Drake, and today we're going to look at those beautiful hearts that you've seen all over our wonderful city. It's Nebraska by Heart. Stay tuned.
Hello, my name's Jerry Renault. It's almost state fair time in Nebraska, and as always, it's going to be a great one. Today on Live and Learn, we're going to be talking with Jace Robinson. He's a member of the marketing department at the Nebraska State Fair, and he's going to tell us about all the new and exciting things that are happening at this year's fair. You won't want to miss it. Stick around.
Hi, welcome to Live and Learn. This program debuted in 1999, and in 2000, my guest joined as a host. She stayed until 2011, and she went out on top. Today, my guest is Ruth Ann Linus. Join me.
Hello, I'm Lita Powell Drake, and today we're going to be visiting with OLLI, the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute. There is a free open house coming up at the Cornhusker, and we'll show you about all the classes. Please stay tuned.
This and more on today's Live and Learn.
Welcome to Live and Learn. I'm Lita Powell Drake, and I know you've seen these hearts springing up all over the city of Lincoln. And you gotta have heart. All you really need is heart. You know I was going to say that. Liz McCoy is the executive director, or what do you call yourself, Liz?
Project director.
Project director of this enormous project. Where do we stand right now? Will you give us an update as to where we are?
Yes. Well, the Nebraska by Heart project is a celebration of our state's sesquicentennial.
Easy for you to say.
Took me 2 weeks to say it, learn to say it, but it's our 150th anniversary throughout 2017. And so we have 83 hearts. I say it's not a Lincoln project, it's a Nebraska project. That's why the hearts are clustered close to the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, East Campus, City Campus, Haymarket. We have a couple out near, out by the airport, just because they seem to fit there.
Yeah, so they'll be coming into Lincoln so we can actually see them all, right?
All of the hearts are displayed right now.
Yes.
All 83 hearts are up, and we have brochures people can pick up, like at the Visitor Center down the Haymarket, where you unfold the paper, see pictures of all the hearts, and a map, so you can find the hearts. So it's an amazing, amazing project.
And to give you an idea, the picture that you're seeing immediately behind us is Lee and Kay Rockwell, who sponsored one of the hearts, and that's sitting in front of the Home Ec building on the East Campus.
It is.
Just one sample, and it's just fascinating that we're able to take all this stuff and actually come up with something. So we want to go back. Tell us when the whole project began.
Okay. 2 sponsoring organizations came forward, Sadie Dog Fund and Lead Up Lincoln. They wanted to, they're relatively unknown, wanted to get their organizations on the map. What better way than a public art project? Then we became aware that 2017 is a sesquicentennial. We met with the 150 committee, and they said, go for it. You'll be in the top tier of the projects that we are offering throughout 2017. So we put out a statewide call to Nebraska artists, 224 proposals by artists statewide from Omaha to Scottsbluff. 176 were juried in of these proposals. Sponsorship phase, generous individuals, businesses came forward, paid $3,000 just to get the heart made, get the opportunity for the artists to create their vision on paper to a 6-foot fiberglass heart with the base in the shape of Nebraska.
Yeah. Who are the honorary chairs?
The 2 honorary chairs are First Lady Suzanne Shore and Rhonda Seacrest.
Special people and very generous people.
Yes, they are.
Now, if we're going to go back and look at some of the original ones when this began, and I think they'll bring some great memories back to you. For example, we'll start with, well, was the bike was the first one, and that was back in 2003. It doesn't seem like it's that long ago because I still see the bikes up. I love that.
It was about 15 years ago. That's where
Time flies when you're having fun.
Right. That's where I learned to do public art projects. Since then, they've just kept going because individuals, families embrace public art projects. They can come close to a piece of art. They're not in a gallery and take pictures. And
Okay,
enjoy.
then we're going to move to when the Star actually happened. That was 2007.
Right. Star City Art Project, sponsored by YWCA Lincoln.
And next, the Across Lincoln. You've probably seen those up. In fact, I was just over at one of the churches. What was it, Westminster? No.
First Plymouth.
No, First Plymouth.
First Plymouth.
Cal Bentz, our wonderful swim coach at the University
Yes.
of Nebraska, and he coached my son in swimming also. I went to his funeral, and then I said, oh, that was the one that was dated back to 2008.
Yes.
And then next after that was the light bulb.
In 2015, Lighthouse celebrated its 25th anniversary with illuminating Lincoln Lighthouse, and we had 51 light bulbs across Lincoln for that project.
Good. Now we're going to show you some of the hearts that you probably haven't seen unless you've been driving all over the town. This is right in front of our building where we are right now, the County City building. And what does this represent?
It represents the 93 counties. There's these beautiful individually made ceramic hearts that are draped across this beautiful, beautiful heart. And it was created by a collaboration of two artists, Ann Williams and Tom Quest.
And next up we have another heart, and this one is
Moonlight and Romeo. Moonlight and Romeo, it's right by the Ross, and it was...
Moonlight and Romeo?
Yes.
I put mannequin in front of a heart.
No. This is very romantic.
Oh.
Very lovely. And that's why we put it next to the Ross.
And what did you say it was made of again?
The hearts are made from fiberglass, fiberglass materials.
Okay, and then I'll just take a look at the blue and red heart, and this is situated...
That's right on the corner of 16th and R Street. 16th and R Street, right on campus, right on the corner.
What's the weight of these hearts?
Without anything on the hearts, and you can see the base is in the shape of Nebraska. The heart comes up from the base. That's why we call it Nebraska by Heart, symbolizing the heartland, Nebraska. So without anything on them, they weigh 125 pounds.
Ooh, whoa.
But many of the hearts weigh up to 500 pounds with all. We have sandbags inside the base so they can't be blown over or picked up. And then many of the hearts are decorated with three-dimensional objects or mosaic tiles, which add weight, so they can go up to 500 pounds.
All right, now let's look at something for the Cornhusker State. This is certainly appropriate. Now, the height, did you say they're also about 6 feet tall?
The height of the heart, including the base, is 6 feet tall.
And the weight?
125 pounds without anything on them.
Does
That's not
that
even
include
paint.
the base?
No, it's
Oh.
125 pounds, including the base. And so then artists paint and add onto according to their vision.
All right, and now this one is really, the one that's coming up is really cute. There's a little boy fishing.
My favorite fishing hole, that's in front of Billy's Restaurant. It's got a little boy on top of the heart, and you can see lots and lots of fish underneath the little boy dressed in overalls.
That is really darling. And now we'll take a look at a gorgeous butterfly.
This is a monarch butterfly, and what a beautiful way just to pull in the essence of the design, and it's just really an outstanding heart.
Now, did the artist have to submit some sort of a design before they start all this?
That was the proposal time when artists submitted 11 by 17 images of what they were proposing on their 6-foot heart. So then the sponsorship phase, the people came forward to look at all 176 proposals and make decisions about what would I love to see on a 6-foot heart and exhibit it close to the University of Nebraska.
Okay, let's take a look at another one now. This is certainly Nebraska with heart, because I think I'm seeing some cowboys in there.
This was done by Roberta Barnes, who lives in Halsey, Nebraska. She teaches art in Broken Bow. And this really reflects the sandhills, the feeling of ranching. Nebraska is eclectic. It's not just football. There's lots of things. There's ranching and farming and the arts and so many things in Nebraska. And we have so much talent right here in our state. So I think when we put out the call to artists, we said that the images didn't necessarily have to reflect Nebraska. They could be very whimsical, and artists took advantage of that. So we have a beautiful mix of Nebraska feeling and eclectic feeling.
Are men designing these tours?
Oh, yes.
Mostly women?
We have male artists and female. It's a nice mix of both. So it's just, I think it's reflective of art in general. Everybody can participate. Our youngest artist just graduated from 8th grade.
8th grade?
Yes, and she has 2 hearts. And then we go way to the other side of the gamut. I have 1 heart. I'll be on the other side of the gamut today. So as a director of a project, I need to do everything or I'll just be an administrator. I'm also an artist. So to really truly have a feeling of what the artists are the challenges of the artists, I try and do one image as well, one, in this case, a heart. So I think that's important, to be really empathetic with every area of a project.
I have to admire those people who came up with the money to sponsor the artist to creation. Did I hear you say it was a $3,000?
$3,000 sponsorship that allowed for the heart to be manufactured. We gave each artist a $500 material stipend, which is very important to pay the artists some money for what they need. And then the rest of the sponsorship money went to materials for the project. On each of the hearts has a plaque on it acknowledging the artist, the title of the heart, and we call our sponsors patrons, because without the patrons, we wouldn't have the hearts.
Right. Well, now, you're going to get the opportunity to see all of them in one place and then perhaps come to the auction if you're interested. So take a pencil, please, or an ink pen, and write this down because it's coming up. This is going to be at the Haymarket.
Right.
And they're all 83. Does that mean they've come from all over the state?
All over the city.
Oh, my goodness.
All over the city. Actually, October 1st, all of the hearts will be picked up and transported out to Haymarket Park. That's the baseball stadium.
Yeah, baseball stadium.
And
right.
placed around the concourse. October 5th, that's the community event. It's a free event starting at 11:30 all day on Thursday, October 5th till 8 o'clock. And we invite people to come and take their photos, meet many of the artists, buy a book about the project. Where we
good.
Just had a book is going to happen, which many people have been calling me nonstop.
With the picture?
With pictures of all the
that's a
hearts
great
and their
idea.
inspiration statements. October 6th, that's Friday night, doors open at 5.
So you're going the day before and look at everything, and then if you want to come to the auction.
Auction
Yeah.
is October 6th, Friday, doors open at 5. The auction begins promptly at 7 o'clock. And we hope many of the hearts will stay in Lincoln. It's a public auction, and we know people are hearing about this project because I think partly people love the heart. Heart has lots of symbolism in many, many ways to so many people. So for us, it expresses the love we have for Nebraska and the pride we feel right now, and a celebration for all we have right here in Nebraska for its 150th anniversary celebration.
I know you've put a great deal of work into this, Liz McCoy, and it shows. I'm sure it's going to be wonderful. So
Well,
get out to the ballpark.
Get out to the ballpark, enjoy the hearts while they're still up, pick up your brochures, call me if you have questions, and just continue to enjoy the hearts as long as they're up.
Thank you. Our guest has been Liz Shea
you, Lita.
McCoy, who's done a terrific job. And remember, it's never too late to live and learn more about your heart.
Legal services are a part of the spectrum of senior services available through our 8 area agencies on aging. Attorneys can assist and educate seniors on consumer credit and debt collection issues, as well as help them plan ahead with advance directives. Attorneys can also help seniors with consumer fraud and financial exploitation concerns, and also guide them through government benefit issues. For more information, contact the Elder Access Line at 800-527-7249.
You are watching scenes from last year's Nebraska State Fair. Hello and welcome to Live and Learn. I'm Jerry Renaud and it's delighted to be here today, and we have a very special guest to talk about the Nebraska State Fair that's upcoming during this month. It is Jace Robinson. Jace, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Before we get started onto some specifics about the State Fair, and there's some really exciting things that are going to be happening, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been with the State Fair? How'd you get involved with it in the first place?
Well, this will be my 5th fair, and I actually graduated from the University of Kansas in 2011. And then that summer, I actually applied for and got the job as a marketing assistant for the State Fair. I worked 3 fairs. I took 2 years off, and then 3 weeks before the fair last year, I got the opportunity to come back, and so I missed the fair, I missed the people, so I jumped on it, and here I am for my 2nd fair back.
Okay, wonderful, delightful. We're glad you're here, and glad you're involved with the State Fair.
Me too.
Before we get into some specifics about some individual days that I think our audience will really be interested in, let's talk about some of the new things that are happening at the State Fair. If somebody is a regular fair goer or somebody is just coming out for the first time, what are some of the new things they might expect to see?
Well, in the past, every year we try to go for a really big wow factor. Last year we had the Thompson Food Open Air Arena, which was our new outdoor equine arena. The year before that was the Nebraska building. This year, though, we kind of took a step back from trying to achieve that to just really put everything we could into making sure the grounds entertainment was the best it could be, livestock shows and all that. And so this year, the big wow factor, we don't have a new one this year, but a lot of new grounds entertainment, a lot of new food, a lot of great livestock shows, and so that's really going to be our focus this year.
Okay, perfect. Well, we'll talk a little bit about that just a little bit later. But let's talk about then some of the specific days. Let's talk about Wednesday, August 30th. That is Older Nebraskans Day, and one of the things that Live and Learn and Aging Partners is always interested in is health and wellness, and that's a pretty big part of that day. Tell us about some of the things that will be going on that day.
Right. From 9 until I believe 3 o'clock on Wednesday the 30th, we'll have essentially a health and wellness fair inside the Bosselman Conference Center. CHI Health is there. They have a lot of booths. You get free health checkups and things like that. And so, like I said, it's from 9 to 3 in the Bosselman Conference Center on Older Nebraskans Day. Otherwise, the big concert for that day is Ronnie Millsap, and we're really excited to have him. A little different this year than what's been in the past. Typically, we've had 2 concerts on Older Nebraskans Day. However, this year we consolidated. Attendance for both was enough to fill 1, and so we consolidated. And so this year, instead of 2, we'll have 1, and that performance will be at 2 p.m.
Okay, and it's really, this is really a great deal, is it not?
Yes.
For anybody who wants to go to this concert.
Right, and it's $6 reserved seats, and then that doesn't include gate admission.
$6.
But that day is $5 gate admission, which is normally $12, so $5 is a great deal. And then also, a lot of our entertainment on our stages throughout the grounds is kind of geared towards the Older Nebraskan demographic, and so that day we really dedicate to making sure it's fun for the older Nebraskans.
And that's not the only concert that's going on that day. There's a really fabulous gospel group called the Perrys that are also going to be giving a concert that day as well, right?
Correct. And last year we had a gospel concert, and it was on the Bristol window stage just outside the swine barn. And it was absolutely packed, and so we wanted to do another gospel concert. We got the Perrys to come this year, and so that'll be the Bristol stage outside the Swine Arena, and so another great performance that you could attend that day as well.
Yeah, and the Bristol stage is a pretty big stage, so
yes.
it will accommodate quite a number of people.
Yep, quite a few. So, and it's outdoors, and so hopefully if the weather's good, we can have a good crowd.
Okay. Perfect. That sounds like a great day. Another great day that folks might want to think about, it's a little earlier in the week, and that's on Saturday, August 26th. The fair will celebrate the Nebraska, I hope I can say it right, sesquicentennial, which includes a tribute to all things Nebraska at the Family Fun Zone stage. Tell us where that is and about some of the events that are going to be taking place on that day.
And we're really excited. Obviously it's a big year celebration for the state of Nebraska. I know Pete Ricketts and his wife have really put themselves behind and to trying to promote the 150th sesquicentennial. For us, like you said, it's the first Saturday, and Family Fun Zone stage is right inside the main gate. Just go past the Nebraska building, and then the Family Fun Zone stage is right there. Throughout the afternoon, we'll have reenactors reenacting famous Nebraskans, Willa Cather, and people like that. We'll have music that covers all the periods from 1860 to today, because as long as the state of Nebraska has been a state, we've had a fair, and so we not only are celebrating the state, but then also, kind of the heritage of Nebraska, the fair, agriculture, and those things. And so we'd love to have people come out and kind of experience that. It's going to be something different for us. And we have a local theater troupe coming to perform for us, all that. Plus, we'll have a very, very large birthday cake. So.
Oh, very good. Wow, we're always interested in birthday cakes.
So we're excited for that.
You mentioned the Nebraska building. Let's talk a little bit about that for a minute, because I think that was new last year or last couple of years.
2 years ago, yeah.
And that's a really interesting place, all things Nebraska.
Exactly. On the main floor, and one of the things that we were most excited to get back to that people kind of missed from Lincoln was the Nebraska Game and Parks relationship. And so we worked with them. We have a very large aquarium inside, but it kind of goes through, like you said, all things Nebraska and conservation and those things. And then also on the main floor is Raising Nebraska, which is done through the UNL Extension. And it focuses a lot on the farm to fork concept. And so you get to kind of understand more about Nebraska, about farmers and how they grow their crops and how those crops get to your dinner plate. Because we are an ag state, but there's probably a lot of kids who haven't ever lived on a farm and don't understand that your milk doesn't just come from the grocery store. It actually comes from a farmer who raised the cow that milked the cow and got it shipped to the store. And so
it's a great place for kids, because there are lots of demonstrations that go on, and I think we saw some robotics there last year. So it's really an educational but a fun sort of place.
Very interactive, and so and that's one of those things throughout the year. There's a lot of kids, but during the fair especially, a lot of kids. So.
Okay, let's talk about one more specific day, and that is Labor Day, and that will be the Veterans Day celebrations.
Correct.
What are some of the things that are going to be going on Labor Day?
Well, that day, it's the last day of the fair, but that day, any military members, former or current, if they bring ID with them, they get in for free, and that's all day. There's programming. There's a program in the morning in the Heartland Event Center, and there's, I believe, talks and entertainment that goes on during that. But then in the afternoon, a little earlier than our normal days, there's a parade, and it's by far the biggest parade we have during the fair. It involves all the branches of the military, tons of motorcycles, and it's just, for me, it's exciting because you get to see all the veterans are standing, saluting the flags. There's a lot of color guards that go by, and so it's a very moving day for the staff, especially.
Now, as you're actually working the fair, do you get to see some of this stuff? I mean, do you be able to get out to the grounds and actually see what's going on?
Yeah, for me, a lot of what I have to do is done before the fair, and so usually during the fair, as putting out fires, one of my main jobs is getting video and photos of everything. And so I am very fortunate because not everybody is on staff to get out and see everything. So.
Okay, very cool. All right, let's talk about food, because that's something that when you think about the state fair, you think about food. And last year, when I was out there, a friend of mine got a donut burger of all things, which, I mean, it just really looked decadently good. What are some of the things that we can look forward to at the state fair this year?
I hope you don't mind. I brought a cheat sheet, so
no, that's fine.
Name a few. Lolly waffles, which is it looks like a hot dog wrapped in a waffle, probably on a stick.
Okay.
Bacon cinnamon rolls, s'mores on a stick, Samoa mini donuts, apple pie sundaes, flavored pork rinds, Bavarian cream churros, exotic nachos.
Do we know what exotic nachos are?
No, and that's usually the most fun thing, is to see what it actually is when you finally get to buy it.
You get to try any of these before they
A
they
few,
show up?
yeah, and actually our 1868 Foundation, which is our fundraising arm, they have what they call the red ribbon or blue ribbon rollout before the fair, and they actually have quite a few of our vendors there to try different things, and so it's it's tough not to gain weight during the fair. Because
Oh
you
yeah,
have to-
I bet it is.
You have to try all these.
Well, of
so.
course, this is just the way it is.
Yep.
How about some of the entertainment? It's always also one of the fun things that
Yes.
that's happening at the state fair.
Yep.
Almost everywhere you turn, there is some sort of live entertainment,
Yep.
whether it's local music or whether it's other things that are going on.
Yep.
What are some of the things that we can look forward to?
Well, and that's the thing we really pride ourselves on, is after the entry, you get in the entrance of the fair, there's a lot of free things to go to, and so we really focus on providing quality, free grounds entertainment. And so this year, we're working really hard. We got a few new ones that are really exciting. The Recycle Cycle show. One of our big things is recycling and conservation and doing our part for the earth. And so this will be in our new JTech Solar Sustainability Pavilion, where you can go and learn about sustainable energy, recycling, and those things.
Fabulous.
Then we also have Conjurer, who it's based off of the Tom Hanks film Big. So he walks around. We had him in the past. It's been a couple of years. He's very witty, kind of dry sense of humor, very funny. We're excited about that. One that was new last year that was a huge hit was Matt's Family Jam. They're a band that's on a trailer that
Yes,
gets
I
pulled
saw
on
them.
the
They were
ground.
great. They were great. It was a great band.
It was, and so we're excited to have them back. The Great American Duck Races, ducks racing, a lot of crowd participation in most of these that we really shoot for as well. And then obviously we're having Hedrick's Racing Pigs back, which every year
That's a big one.
always a big hit. So all of these are free once you get in, and so just throughout the day, get to grab a gate book, look through it. You can find times for everything where they're at, and so it's should be a lot of fun.
Fabulous. And there'll be all the traditional tractor pulls and the
Yep,
other things
yep,
that people
yep.
sort of can expect. If people, and we've just touched on just a few things here today, if somebody was looking for some more information, let's maybe put the website up, because I think it's pretty simple. It's www.statefair.org.
Yep, that's correct. That would be the best source probably to go on, find out. You can plan your day. We also have a State Fair app you can download, or you can plan your day on that as well. It's kind of your preference. Obviously, if you have any questions, you can call the main office. Our phones are getting really busy right now, so we might not be able to answer right away, but if you have any questions as far as entering domestic exhibits, anything like that, just give us a call and we'll find an answer for you.
Sounds fabulous. I know it's going to be a great fair, as it
Yep.
always is, and
Yep.
I'm sure the weather will be perfect.
It will be.
And we want to thank our guest, Jace Robinson, for being here with us. He's part of the marketing department of the Nebraska State Fair. Thanks again for your time.
Thanks for
I know
having
you're
me.
busy, and so we appreciate that. That's pretty much the time we have here for our segment. Remember, it's never too late to live and learn. I'm your host, Jerry Renault, and we're going to take you out with some more exciting video of last year's State Fair.
Are you 55 or older, low income, and need a job? The Senior Community Service Employment Program offers employment assistance to low income Nebraskans age 55 and older, offering paid training at local organizations to update your job skills and build confidence, while preparing skilled, experienced, and responsible older workers for today's workforce. The program also helps local agencies increase their services and operations.
Hi, I'm Kim Hachia, and I am excited today that my guest is Ruth Ann Linus, Live and Learn host emerita. She was one of several hosts who were with the program from 2000 to about 2011, and I've invited her back to talk kind of about the good old days. Welcome back, Ruth Ann. It's great to have you here.
Thank you, Kim. It's lovely to be here.
Does it feel like old home to be here on the set?
Both yes and no. There have been changes, as you know. We're using high fidelity cameras. We have a green screen instead of a set that had to be that was sandbagged and had to be moved around when it was no longer needed. And some of the people are still here, and that is lovely. The door says the Bill Luxford Studio, and that's both gratifying and sad. We all miss Bill Luxford, who was our director.
I think we have a picture from back in the day of you with a previous host, Peggy Briggs, who's also passed away, and Bill, and our producer, Bo. There's the picture.
Oh.
There you are wearing green. You could not have worn green.
No,
today.
that green, we would have disappeared right into the backdrop.
Right.
We all the hosts wore that green jacket, although Peggy isn't wearing hers, but mine was the standard green jacket that hosts wore.
That's really interesting. So tell me how you got involved with the program to begin with.
I saw an ad in the senior newsletter. It was the one that preceded, as I recall, it was the one that preceded Living Well, the current magazine. I have no idea why I thought that would be something I could do. I thought it was interesting, the idea that there would be a television show that would extol the virtues of this of what is now Aging Partners, which was then Lincoln Area Agency on Aging. Quite a mouthful. So came down, auditioned, was chosen, and was surprised.
Yeah, it's
be
fun.
Chosen.
That's kind of exactly how I found out about it too. I saw an ad and thought, that sounds like fun.
Yes.
Because you told me that you like the concept of storytelling.
Very much so. I was an English teacher and then an English administrator, and English teachers like a story. So my first 10 years after retirement I had spent as a docent at the History Museum. It seemed logical. And then I saw the ad and moved over here for the next 10.
We talked, you and I chatted about some of your favorite segments, and you said it was hard to pick because you did a lot of them.
Yes.
But maybe your three favorite were the O Street Gang, U.S. Federal Judge Warren Urbaum, and Ted Sorensen, who was an advisor to President Kennedy.
Yes.
So let's talk about the O Street Gang.
All right.
And here we are. Here's a picture of Ted Sorensen. So his picture's up. Why don't you tell me about Ted?
All right, Ted. By the time I interviewed him, he had lost his vision to a stroke. I knew he was coming here to a Thompson Forum. I had read a marvelous article in the Lincoln Journal by Don Walton about Ted and his life and where he lived and what he was doing now. He had by that time retired from everything but his law practice, which he could do even though he no longer had his vision. Don Walton gave me his contact information. I'd tried before, but it's difficult to reach someone like that if you try first through their publisher, as I did, who did not return. And it happened that Ted had come to Lincoln once to do things for the university, and he said, just contact me. Anyway, I contacted him through his law office, wrote a letter, said that we would like to talk to him for whatever time he had, 15 minutes to an hour. And his secretary called when the letter arrived there and asked if an hour would be enough. I allowed his hour.
Wow, an hour. That's good.
It was.
And then Judge Urbaum, he presided over a very famous trial.
Yes, he did.
The Wounded Knee trial,
Yeah.
and you told me that you really enjoyed speaking with him.
Very much so, because he is such a nice man and thoughtful. I had read about the Wounded Knee trials in the newspaper, but in the mid-70s, I was busy with work and 5 children and all that goes with both of those things, keeping the family going. So I didn't have time to even read the articles completely. I read this headline and that headline, and knew that it was a time, it was fraught. There was danger of lots of things. And he brought that to a conclusion, and that was another headline that I read. So impressed by it.
Right, and it was so nice that you could talk to him to kind of get sort of his, 20 years out, sort of a long-term view of history.
Yes, and he had never been interviewed on television before.
Wow.
We met at someone's funeral, and he was just in the background there helping people find their way to the food after the funeral. And he was so generous with his time later, and acknowledged that he hadn't been asked before. When I asked him if he had written about it, perhaps in a book, he had not done that yet, but he was sort of doing that. And the book came out later. So our interview was just special, and I'd be happy to tell you more about that if we have time.
Well, we were going to talk about the O Street Gang.
Yes.
So for people that are watching, the O Street Gang was sort of, what were they, and why did you want to talk to those individuals?
Because it had been so interesting. In fact, all of the things that I got to do as a host were things that interested me. And we might want to talk about how we all helped one another with our planning. But the O Street Gang had always interested me, because I knew that in some quarters they were not appreciated, and in other quarters they were very much appreciated. The name had been given to a group of Lincoln leaders by Omaha people of similar status in Omaha, I believe. They referred in a very put-down way to, that O Street Gang.
And these were gentlemen, for the most part, that had the big stores that were on O Street downtown.
They were the leaders in Lincoln. They did. They had the big stores. They had, their incomes were probably all much higher than the average. And they were Lincoln's informal governmental group. Lincoln at that time didn't have a strong mayor-council government as we do now. So there was something of a vacuum. These civic leaders, all of whom I knew, had really loved Lincoln and really cared a lot about it, took over. They ate lunch at Miller and Payne at the round table there, and they actually had dues. Dues were administered by a Lincoln banker. The members of the O Street Gang, and you almost have to say that in quotes, had no idea what other people's dues were. They only knew what theirs were. Interesting, isn't it?
And what were some of the things that they did? How did they exert their leadership?
Well, they kept some things going that would not have gone otherwise. They bought great blocks of tickets for the football games at a time when our football team was not achieving.
This was in the 1950s mostly?
No, I think
or even
sooner.
earlier?
I think pre-war even.
Oh, wow.
I'm not absolutely sure about the dates in which they worked, but it was a time when our football team, it was pre-Devaney.
Okay.
Pre-Devaney. They bought blocks and blocks of tickets. They kept the team going. In later years, that sort of came back because there was some resentment that they had so many tickets, but that was why.
But they bought tickets and gave them away, so then people would go to the games, and before and after the game, they would go to the store.
Yes. So it redounded to them, too, a benefit for all of that. But I doubt that we would have the parks, the zoos, the many amenities that we have had that group of men not just taken it upon themselves to do what they did. I knew they were gone now. By the time I got around to being able to interview them, and they exemplify too what I have always observed: In 10 years of being a host, no one ever said no except one time. And that person recommended someone else to do it instead. So people have been so cooperative. I interviewed really descendants. I interviewed a wife, and the rest happened to be sons because they were the ones that were available.
Right.
But I guess that was in keeping because the O Street Gang, to my knowledge, was mostly men. Was
So
all men.
in 10 years, you only had one turn down. Do you think that's because everybody knew you were such a great interviewer?
I don't know. I think we have a lot of people in Lincoln who are very, very interested in making Lincoln a better place to live. It may well be that Channel 5 has a lot to do with that. It may be that the Aging Partners have a lot to do with that, because the mission of Aging Partners is to make life better for older folks in Lincoln and to help them find resources that they might not otherwise find.
So what have you been doing since you left the show?
Oh, I have been, well, in the first 2 years after I left, I was always at home. They were my husband's last 2 years. So I was home with him and did nothing at all outside home. Since 2013, I have enjoyed some bridge clubs, some a book club, a study club that, study clubs have been around Lincoln for quite a while. And they were an early way for women to exercise their brain power because, well, I should say other than exercising their brain power at home, which of course is where most of them were, all of them, I think.
And I know that you've been very involved in OLLI.
Oh yes, the OLLI group at the university has been a wonderful opportunity. That, like Aging Partners, is just a magnificent addition to Lincoln because the fees for the classes are low enough and the people who arrange them are bright enough and represent so many diverse interests that the result is an ever increasingly more interesting schedule of events.
I think I've seen their schedule, and it looks to me like you could be busy about 24 hours a day if you got really involved with them.
You could, and maybe some people are, because there are individual things like a walking club, which is just walking. There are trips. There are interest groups that have to do with things that just scratch your brain and make you think, and sometimes develop positions on some of the issues of the day. All of these things are very interesting. Well, there's a performance, as you may know, that takes place each year so far for the past 5 or 6 years, I think. So lots of things people can find to do.
I'd like to thank you for agreeing to join the show today, Ruth Ann. It's been delightful. We could probably have talked on for another hour or so.
I'm sure. I would be happy to talk about some of those.
We're going to close the show right now, and Ruth Ann and I have decided that we are going to say the tagline together.
Yes, if you cue me. So it's been a while.
So let's cue. We're going to do it in 3, 2, 1.
All right.
It's never too late to live and learn. Thanks.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Randy Jones with Aging Partners. Did you know that Lincoln expects a 75% increase in the number of seniors living in our community over the next 15 years? Aging Partners is a community service that provides fitness programs to help keep older adults strong and healthy. This year, Lincoln Cares donations are providing funds for new fitness equipment. You can help make this happen. Sign up to support Lincoln Cares and add $1 to your LES bill each month.
Hi, welcome to Live and Learn. I'm Lita Powell Drake, and today we're going to be talking about OLLI, the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute. And with us today to give you all the details, Kim Osmond, and she is the Special Events Coordinator at OLLI. Welcome to Live and Learn.
Thank you, Lita.
And tell us what's going on over there. with all the classes coming up?
Well, we are busily preparing for term 1 of our first, or of the next program year, which will start in September. We have 5 terms throughout the year, 2 in the spring, or 2 in the fall, 2 in the spring, and 1 in the summer. So we're just at the end of the summer term for this past program year and getting ready to start the next one.
Now, what happens during an Ollie open house?
The Ollie Open House will be Sunday, August 20th at the Cornhusker Hotel from 1:30 to 3, and we provide information about the classes coming up in term 1, and we will also have some entertainment and some delicious nibbles for people to enjoy.
Well, now, when we say that Ollie is 25 years of age, I thought, gee, I didn't know it had been around that long. Is there a little history there that led up to this?
There is. It's really something. The concept of lifelong learning has been around for a very long time, and the idea of a lifelong learning program here in Lincoln was the brainchild of Dr. Deanna Eversole at UNL. She gathered a group of interested individuals together in 1992, and they created an organization called SAGE, which stood for Sharing Across Generations for Enrichment.
That's nice.
And the first group of students back then, SAGE students, was fairly small, but they grew and were successful. But in 2002, the university experienced some serious financial issues and had to make budget cuts that eliminated SAGE from their budget. But by that time, support for lifelong learning here in Lincoln was really strong, so the SAGE members looked at other options to see how they could continue that program here, and they discovered the Osher Foundation in 2003, and in 2004 their application to become an OLLI, or an Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, was accepted.
Well, I love the idea of Mr. Osher, Bernard Osher. He was probably in his 80s then, and he was a gazillionaire. I don't know where he made all his money, but he had lots of money. But he was interested in seniors continuing to learn. So he offered colleges and universities all across the United States $1 million if you could come up with 500 students, age 50 and older. And so we got one. The first one was, I can't remember the exact year.
I can't remember the year
something
either.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we using that as operating expenses, to pay for things. And then we got our second million just last year. So it has really, really grown exponentially, as we say.
It has.
How many members in OLLI this day?
We have a little over 1,600 members.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Okay, we want to give you an idea. We want you to come to the open house, but we'll give you just a sample of some of the classes that are being offered coming up this fall. They'll start September the 5th. So if we can take a look at that, it'll kind of give you an idea of some of the fun things to expect. Now, if you love to paint and mess around and with watercolors and mixed art. And Susan Brash had a wonderful class too, and it's really a lot of fun, but you're doing it under a professional who really knows what they're doing. And then in theater, the Repertory Theater in Nebraska, Repertory Theater is back. And boy, this is going to be some play. This is about witches. And this is going to be at the Johnny Carson Theater at the Lead Center. That's going to be the big change this year. Frequently, they're at the Johnny Carson Theater, which is at 12th and R Street in the Temple Building. This year, moving over across the street to the Johnny Carson Theater, and it's called Abigail 1702, and it's about witches. And
it sounds exciting.
Yeah. And we have put classes so you can get the background on that, the information, and so forth. That's just a couple of things. Now, you tell us some more of the classes that'll be offered.
Okay, we've got a class called The Spirit of the North Platte Canteen. From Christmas 1941 until the end of World War II, residents from North Platte, Nebraska created a haven of support and encouragement for U.S. troops who were passing through on the Union Pacific Railway. And this course will celebrate that important part of Nebraska's history during our state's 150th birthday this year.
And look at the ladies and what they're offering with the little helpful goodies.
Right.
There's the cute sailor boys that are all there. And did you say there was a 93-year-old woman?
Yes, there's a 90-year-old woman who, maybe she's one of these young ladies in the picture. She and her family were part of that effort in North Platte to support the GIs as they were getting ready to go overseas.
And that's a long class, isn't it? Did you say it was 6 parts?
That is 6 weeks. A typical, well, the OLLI term is, each OLLI term is a 6-week term. And a typical OLLI class meets once a week for 90 minutes for those 6 weeks. Although we do offer a lot of shorter classes, 1 time, 2 time, 3 time things as well.
I'll give you an example of another class that's coming up. They're all really quite unique. And so if we can take a look here at, we all have to do some of this exercises.
That's
We can't
right.
just sit around. Tai Chi.
This, we will have a 24-step Tai Chi class. The first 12 steps will be in term 1. Tai Chi, if you're not familiar, is a traditional Chinese martial art that is beneficial to people of all ages and lifestyles. The sequence of movements is very easy to learn and gentle enough even for the elderly to practice. And as I said, students in this class will learn the first 12 movements, and the second set of 12 will be taught in our term 2.
So get off your butt.
That's right.
Get out there. All right, let's take a look now. We have some African American emphasis.
Yes, there's a course called African Americans in Lincoln. This one is just a one-time course, and it's going to look at 6 plaques in Trago Park that the Malone Community Center dedicated in 2015, and those plaques tell the history of the African American community here in Lincoln. Larry Williams, who is the director of the Malone Center, will lead participants through that display in this one-time class and talk about some of the history of how that came about and the history of African Americans in our community.
And it's a rich history. It really is.
Yes, it is.
Oh, good. We have fun though. We just don't have all classes where you have to sit there and listen to a lecture. Because we go out on hayrack rides.
That's right. We've joined with Lincoln Parks and Rec to offer fall hayrack rides for several years now, and they're so popular that we've actually started to offer 2 different dates. Participants will ride a tractor-driven hayrack through Pioneers Park and learn about the unique history of the park and experience the fall beauty that is on display out there and have some fun.
And you won't fall off the wagon either. Okay, let's take a look at another one right now. And this plagues all of us who are aging now is, how in the heck does this thing work?
Right,
It's
we
a
all
class
have to
in
worry
your
about
mobile,
that.
exploring your mobile device.
Right. Most of us do have smartphones or tablets these days, and this course will teach students how to use their mobile device to create nice pictures. These classes are limited so each student can experience personalized assistance. And this course is so popular that we've offered it almost every term for 2 or 3 years now.
And we also take trips with OLLI. And this time going to the Panama Canal because the new locks have been built.
Right. They've been remodeled or I don't know if they're completely brand new. We partner with Valden Tours to offer a variety of trips every year, from varying from one-day excursions to multi-week trips and locations as close as Red Cloud or Omaha or as far away as China or Ireland. And as you said, in February we will take a cruise to see the new locks on the Panama Canal. It will be an 11-day adventure with stops in the Bahamas, Colombia, Costa Rica, and the Cayman Islands.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, February sounds like a great time
Yeah.
to travel to the Caribbean and Central America.
Yeah.
to me.
Now we've shown you only 8 classes. There are over 50 classes being offered. To give you an idea, that's why it's important for you to come to the open house. Now, when do the classes begin? We'll just give them some last minute information if you want to get a pencil and paper and so forth.
Classes begin Tuesday, September 5th. That's the day after Labor Day. And run, like I said, for a 6-week term into October. And you can call the Ollie office at 402-472-6265 or take a look at our website, which is Ollie, that's olli.unl.edu, to get more information about Ollie and about the courses that we have coming up.
And Kim, just briefly, we've got 2 minutes left. Tell me about what it is that you do as the coordinator.
I'm the events coordinator at Ollie, which means I focus more on the social side of the things that we offer rather than the so-called academic side. In addition to the classes and courses, the things that we've talked about today, we also present dinners, excursions, one-day trips. Earlier this summer, we did a day trip out to Coryell Park, which is in southeast Nebraska, and just wandered around the park and learned about the park.
And all these classes are held all over the city in different places that can help us, can accommodate us, and that have the technology available now.
Right.
So they're sometimes in churches. Well, where other kinds of places are they,
Churches,
in addition to the university?
Yeah, we do some classes on campus. We do some classes at Southeast Community College's Continuing Education Center. We do quite a few classes in some church buildings where they have facilities that will accommodate us.
For people 50 and older, it's a very special place to be. We want to remind everybody it's never too late to live and learn more about the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute right here in Lincoln.